Hey folks, welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy X-2. I am the mysterious JG, and as difficult as this may be for you to believe, well, maybe not. I haven't played in a little while. I had gotten quite far ahead, and then I actually slowly allowed you guys to catch up to the point where, for the first time in a while, I have less than a week's worth of padding. And since I really don't have any other series going right now, doing a project with Zerfall, but that's on his channel. I'm doing a project with Bobo. But yeah, other than the thing that I'm doing with Bobo, this is the main thing going on my channel, and I was just at the splash screen before you get here, which combines cover art from X and X-2, and you've got this shot of a fully clothed Titus kind of looking off into the future with this kind of cagey smile. And then you've got a shot of Yuna with pants creep on her fantasy Daisy Dukes, kind of giving me this over-the-shoulder, like, softcore porno look. It's like, I want you guys to be able to see my eyes and see my ass at the same time. Sorry. Anyway, no, so yeah, I haven't recorded in a little while. I have played a little, though, kind of playing, while off-screening, while watching your basic other people's LPs, or the old riff tracks, Mr. Science Theater, that kind of thing. And the reason for that is because the fights in the last couple of videos were just being way more difficult than I thought they needed to be. And you'll see here, hopefully it didn't actually record a time, but 2:15, I was actually recording. Now it's like 2:28. So yeah, I had a big gap of time between the last time I recorded, but you'll notice that the big difference with my off-screening is... Oh, and I went back... Yeah, this was a silly thing that I did. I basically decided that in order to off-screen effectively, I really needed to just go to an earlier save where I could get out of here, because I wasn't really 100% ready to be locked down and unable to escape from this. But I was, and that irritated me. So I went back to an earlier save. Well, there's two reasons. For one thing, people pointed out, oh no, you didn't talk to Waka and Lulu when you were in Besaid. I hope you didn't cost yourself 100%. I hope you didn't miss anything important. And I was like, oh shit, I really have no idea if I missed anything by doing that. So I went and I talked to Waka and Lulu. I hopped onto an earlier save before I went to Chateau LeBlanc. And with no voice acting, this is just text on the screen, Waka says... Well, the Oryx never trained this hard when I was coaching them, yeah. Of course, making them train hard ain't gonna make them any better. Which made no sense to me whatsoever. It's like, them training hard isn't going to make them better at Blitzball? Well, then why are they... What? And then, Lulu says something like, you did a very special thing for Spirit Unit. Now it's time for you to take some time to take care of yourself. Which is a nice little quote. But again, neither of them voice acted. Neither of them says anything different when you talk to them a second time. Nothing that they said really seemed to indicate to me that it would change before and after you dealt with Becklem and the Gunner's Gauntlet Challenge. So, yeah, not a whole lot that you missed there, folks. But then I did a bunch of off-screening. All Dragon will... he was asking about the details of the off-screening a little bit. Yeah, and the Creature Creator. Although I didn't go out of my way to avoid leveling up, because what I basically realized in the last couple of videos was the combat was being a pain in the butt. And it was, partially, it was just because I felt like I should have been a higher level. Certainly, you could be at the levels I was at and do better. There's a couple of things that was going on. Well, for one thing, all three girls were at level 24. Now their levels vary a bit, 40, 43, and 42. And the reason that their levels kind of diverged a bit is because I decided to try to level up specific dress spheres a bit, but that's just a pain in the ass. It takes forever. But what I ended up doing is, for all of them, I don't know why I did this other than that it's just kind of fun to knock these out and have them. I leveled up their ultimate dress spheres. Now with Riku, you haven't even seen hers on camera yet, and I need to change that. But something happens later, I don't remember what. We don't have all the skills for anybody's ultimate dress sphere, so they get unlocked. I don't remember if that's a thing that you can't have until the second playthrough or what, but you'll see here, like, yeah, we've got triple HP on Yuna's floaty flower lady thing. She has 9,999 hit points, and then her two pieces both have about 7,000, and they've got all their skills. And most of them are variations of what we already saw. I was using the thing, like I learned the thing, or no, yeah, man, I learned the thing, I guess, that gives you inflicts confusion. We were trying to use that to learn blue magic. I learned the rest. So, you know, cast petrification. There's one that just damages enemies. Every part of her has ribbon, etc. But because basically when you kill enemies with the super dress spheres, only that character gets points. So that meant that if it took me somehow more like Pain, I guess, and Riku were already a little ahead of Yuna. Somehow it took Riku the most battles to get her. Like, yeah, I remember for some reason I was having real pain in the butt getting ability points to accumulate on Riku's ultimate dress sphere. So she ended up 3 levels ahead of Yuna. If that's your widest gap between party members is 3 levels, that's not really all that bad. It does mean that even though they're here with the same dress spheres and largely the same equipment, you can see that Riku has like the same MP as Pain, who's 1 level below her. Yuna has better MP though, and she's at a lower level, so I guess that's something to do with the accessories. What are they? Oh god. Riku, Yuna's got the heady perfume, which I guess actually does adjust several different stats. Charm Bangle doesn't really do anything for you. Mortal Shock, I don't think does anything to stats. So yeah, if I took this off, I would get a clearer idea of what's actually going on. I need to find something that doesn't do anything to stats. Pretty sure Venom Shock doesn't do anything to stats. So in fact, yeah, she's got a little bit lower hit points, a little bit lower MP, etc. Now I'll give her back the heady perfume because it's the best accessory we've got right now as far as what it does to stats, other than adamantite, which is kind of broken at this point in the game. Like, if you have adamantite equipped on a girl at this point in the game, she is pretty much going to be like, enemies would have to inflict like automatic death stuff on her. They won't be like, she's just going to like laugh off everything. If everything's affected by defense at all, she'll laugh it off. So I'm not going to use adamantite because it's a bit broken for this point in the game. But no, I did level everybody up. You'll notice that everybody is alchemists because that was kind of the last thing I was working on. I don't want to keep them that way. One thing that's really a big part of why the battles in the last couple of videos went so poorly is because White Mage sucks. Should have occurred to me, in a game that has Alchemist and White Mage, you don't want to waste a bunch of time with White Mage. Like Final Fantasy Tactics, it's fun to level up all the different jobs. White Mage, I guess you need to get up to a certain level before you can unlock other jobs, but compared to the, I don't even know, are they called Alchemists? Are they called... whatever the guys with the hats who eventually get to use guns in Final Fantasy Tactics are called, they're just way the frick better at healing than White Mages. I mean, potions cost money, but in that game, if you're actually going around and like fighting to earn up levels with your jobs and stuff, you can afford to throw around some frickin' high potions. In any game with alchemists, White Mages suck, and alchemists in this game are pretty frickin' awesome. Mostly because of the skill that all of them now know. I'll go with Riku, she's learned the most. I can now take a turn to have, basically I now have infinite potions, high potions, mega potions, X potions, dispel with Riku, not with everyone. Well no, with Pain too, mega phoenixes, remedies, phoenix downs, ether costs like a F-load of AP to learn, but you can eventually have infinite ethers, because this game really makes a big deal of hit point restoring items being cheap and plentiful. MP restoring items are extremely rare, hard to come by. Rarely can they be purchased in stores, and there are certain enemies, particularly boss-type enemies, who will attack your MP directly. So finding job types that can restore MP or can launch attacks that are powerful and don't rely on MP, very important in this game. But the big thing, and even Yuna, who is the least developed as an alchemist, because I was having her learn other stuff, even Yuna now has Mega Potion. And that's the big one. Mega Potion is 2,000 hit points to every character in your party. All 3 characters get 2,000 free hit points. You now have the ability to do that as often as you want using the Alchemist. And until you start getting very high levels and accessories that are designed towards boosting your hit point percentage, or percentage boost to hit points, hit points times 100, whatever percent, whatever. It pretty much means that every turn you have the capacity to fully heal your entire party, which means that enemies have to be able to wipe you out in the course of a turn, or inflict like status ailments on the alchemist that fuck up its turn. But yeah, having an alchemist in the party just makes you really freaking safe. That being said, it's also kind of dull. So let's keep Yuna as alchemist because she's got the most that she still needs to learn. Riku can do something else, but what else does she need to learn? Oh God, I think she's mastered all of those jobs. I might have to switch up some stuff here. She's mastered Gunner, she's mastered Thief. She's actually the one, yeah, she's the one who has a lot left to learn of the warrior job. Shawn Michaels, Warrior Spirit. What about Pain? She's still learning Gunner, although she doesn't have too much left to learn. Well, she's got one thing left to learn that's kind of worthless. Just so that I don't feel like we're wasting our time in the battles that we'll have to go through, we can switch you over to Gunner. We can switch Riku over to Warrior. And we'll keep Yuna as an alchemist. And we will continue on with our adventure. Now, Yuna's on a different garment grid from the other two. I've got Riku and Pain both set up so they can cast Silent and Darkness on stuff. And Yuna has the ability to cast Protect because, that's kind of the only halfway decent thing that white mages can do that alchemists can't. So if Yuna, like, we get into a battle that is actually going to be challenging in any way, Yuna casts Protect on the first turn and then starts spamming healing items, the party's pretty fucking safe. And as far as, like, I'm trying to kind of get some use out of these battles, but, like, if you were just going to, like, make a dress sphere that only had stuff that's going to be really freaking useful to you, we're actually pretty close to having it right now. I would want to have Thief, because I always like to try to steal, especially from the bosses. Alchemist, because you want to be able to heal. Blue gun mage, in case it starts throwing around magic, so you're like, oh shit, I think I can learn that. Warrior is pretty much my favorite one for most of the game, or a lot of the game, because of the breaks. Power break and magic break. Some enemies are immune, but the fact that, like, you don't do it just one turn and one and done, like, you have several turns of repeatedly weakening something's attack or defense, I think that was the trade-off, and for the fact that a lot fewer enemies are immune to it than used to be. And it's just that it's like you can spend every turn launching that, doing that thing, and it actually inflicts damage. I don't remember. I don't think Power Break did damage in Final Fantasy X. I think it was just you took a turn and inflicted the status. But yeah, basically, warriors don't have a ton of MP, but it doesn't cost a lot, and you just, especially in a battle against a boss, you gradually turn the tide so that the battle is more and more in your favor, and you're inflicting damage as you go. Sometimes you win the battle before you've even finished putting all the hurting on it that you wanted to. And then this last slot I have as Gunner right now, but eventually, like, if this was just going to be a kind of default setup, I'd probably put in here a dress sphere that we will be getting before the end of this act. Got the charm bangle on Riku, and it's basically time to move on. Barkeep, I appreciate you coming along. You're very loyal. You're a credit to your people. And you know your place. Sorry, Theo, I gotta stop with the whole high pillow racism thing. Feel free to use the lift if you like, High Summoner. Yeah. So apparently I'm going to stop it, not right now. And we're ready to launch into the end game for Act 2. And I thought what's coming up here happened in Act 3, and now I'm remembering what happened at the end of Act 3, and it's like, oh yeah, that's right, that whole bit happens in Act 3. But no, this is kind of the closest to what, like, coming up is, for all my blathering and prattling on to the intro, coming up is kind of the closest that this game has to what feels to me like a regular old-school Final Fantasy dungeon crawl. This game has a lot of really short sequences and mission time, and the mission is something that you can knock out in like 15-20 minutes time. I have a lot of videos that just consist of one mission, and then the getting into it and the getting out of it, and there's not a whole lot more to it. Coming up is an actual, like, you go through what feels like a fairly lengthy dungeon, fighting your way deeper and deeper into the inevitable boss showdown. And there's not a whole lot of that in this game. And I remember this being kind of one of my favorite parts of the game before. So we'll see whether that memory is kind of accurate. Now, another thing I wanted to point out that I didn't really notice, and nobody called it out in the comments that I remember, but I kind of noticed it when messing with the lift controls. Because if you take the lift up, you get to this little area there where there looks like there's a door leading to more stuff, but you can't really go anywhere. And then on either side, you see there's balconies up there that we can't get to. As far as I know, we can never get there. What I eventually figured out, and I'd never noticed it before, this is the room where Yuna was put on trial by the High Court of Yevon. And we're like, where we're standing now is pretty much where Yuna was. She was actually standing on this platform, but if we jump on it now, it'll take us to the next area. And across from us was where Maester Micah was standing up there delivering his evil speech. And you had Kelk Ronso was hanging around, and then I don't remember who was on the left and who was on the right, but you had Seymour, and you had oh god, I'm forgetting his name now. Orin's buddy, who asked him how Xanarkand was and got murdered by Seymour. He was on whichever side Seymour wasn't on. Yeah, so I'd never noticed that before, but this is that room. Only we can actually move around, and it's kind of makes it difficult to even notice that's what's going on. You can't get to where Seymour and Keenock, that's his name. You can't get to where they were, but presumably there's a door off to either extreme that it looks like you can go in. Like if you look at it, it appears to make sense because, oh, you go through that door and there's probably passages and stuff back there, and that's how we got up here and blah blah blah. But no, you can't. They're just sort of decorative. So it's like, oh man, all these great memories of being put on trial by Yevon and having everything I believed in dashed and destroyed. Although, frankly, folks, at least there was a frickin' story. No, I was thinking about that earlier today. Final Fantasy X comparison to Final Fantasy X-2. I like Final Fantasy X, I really do, but wow. Like, at that point, you have... We the player character, had been... Our viewpoint character is Titus, who doesn't understand Yevon culture or really believe in any of what they hold sacred. But he comes to become very fond of Yuna and her friends, and therefore he's in a bad place. All this goes on too. But like Yuna, like really, we see her whole world being torn apart when she's put on trial by these guys who know that she's innocent, and she realizes she's being used as a pawn by a bunch of politicians who don't believe. You know, I mean, it was really kind of like wow, and not to mention, first time I went through that, I was like. I was curious how the trial would go out. I figured you were set up to lose, but I was also wondering, well, where does this leave Yuna and her friends? I mean, where is the story going to go from here? Like, is their journey going to end because they're, excommunicated? There's really nothing like that going on in this story. I guess we're as close as we're going to get to a compelling story. We're like, okay, there's some kind of horrible weapon down there, and let's go find it, but we're also too early in the story to believe that that's actually going to get resolved. Unless it turns out to be a crappy little side plot. So before I start getting tempted to give away where the story is going by making fun of the fact that it's not that compelling, let's actually give the story of Final Fantasy X-2 a chance, because I think at this point, it's picking up, and it's as direct and compelling as we're going to get. We are going deep into the temples of Yevon, trying to figure out what the heck's going on. And as you can see, we're actually in the Cloister of the Trials from the last game. If you're paying attention to that, you remember these little paths that you have to... We had to navigate them using these, like, crazy... I'm not really going to bother doing anything with these things except killing them. So I've got the Charm Bangle equipped, and I don't honestly remember if you encounter more enemies. You have these enemies that are pre-scripted encounters. I don't remember if you encounter more enemies at random throughout when you don't do that. Remedy times 3. But yeah, you may recall that we would have to ride these platforms around, and you would hit switches to change the direction that these little things are going, and blah blah. And there's some place obviously where we put a Besaid sphere. In this game, they're like, hey, let's reuse that map just to make it feel consistent, even though they had to recreate the graphics. So yeah, I mean, they recreated it. It's not pure laziness that they're using the same map per se, but it is like, well, we're not redoing the damn Cloister of the Trials, because there's one thing that fans were not crazy about. Here's your Destruction Sphere treasure, as I recall, but now it's just 3 remedies. Yeah, I think you put this here, and that's where the Destruction Sphere treasure was, but I might be wrong. But like, yeah, we're not redoing that whole platform minigame. And I'll tell you, for all of my complaining about how much better certain parts of Final Fantasy X were, I don't really mind one bit not redoing the frickin' platform games from Bevelle. So Riku learned another skill from the warrior spirit, Shawn Michaels, but not. She's nowhere near finishing it, so I'll have a. Oh, I'm surprised, no battle. I figured there would be a battle that would trigger. Say, oh look, it's a Besaid sphere. I remember Titus putting that there. Actually, do I remember Titus putting that there? I think no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. This would have been the Cloister of the Trials they went through while I was marrying Seymour. I've never actually seen this place before. Interesting. Well, Yuna must have gotten through the... Boy, now I'm thinking about stuff that really doesn't matter, but Yuna must have gone through the Cloister of Trials. Somebody who actually has gone back and watched this, or is watching this as they watch Final Fantasy X-2 will know, but I'm wondering, like, did Yuna have to go through the Cloister of the Trials by herself without her guardians, figuring out all the platform puzzles, to get to Bahamut, the little kid in the purple robes? Or did Bahamut like find her and help her out because he knew what was going on? It's hard to say. High potion times 4. Oh, okay. Poison does carry over between battles. Now, Riku is, let's see, 1858. Oh, see, hey, there's a path going up there, but they're not gonna... Pretty sure I can't jump up there. Yeah. So Riku, 1858. Okay, she's not actually losing hit points as we walk, a la earlier Final Fantasy games.
I got this. Hey, I want to fight too.
No. Cure our frickin', cure her poison and let us fight. And now cure your own poison. No killing for you. God damn it. I'm trying to, like, avoid having to use items. This is silly, though. These are immensely cheap. Oh, fuck it. It's just gonna keep poisoning people. I guess Yuna got slightly better at alchemist stuff by using those free remedies, but oh, what the hell am I doing? I can just cast white magic with Yuna if I want to. Not like she's gonna need MP while she's Oh, soon I was about to say she never learned pure. Oh wait, there is no pure spell in this game. There is no god in this world. Sorry, reference probably doesn't make any sense. That's okay. It was not me making some like serious political statement either. It was a reference to a video game. Okay. And only, yeah, I think they've kind of like, here's most of the Cloister of Trials, but not all of it, because that would be a pain to do that. And here's stock up while you can, yes. Here's barkeep to make me feel even sillier about having refused to use a couple antidotes between battles, since we could have bought them from him and they cost like nothing. Oh, you know what else I did in my off-screening? Exploit the whole barkeep Owaka the 873rd, whatever his name is. I exploited that a bit, so we now have over 1 million gil, which I figured ought to see us through the rest of the game. If not, then I will feel silly for having not done more, I guess. It is unlikely that I will be going this far. I don't want to save on the same slot just in case something goes wrong with the video, but it is very unlikely that I will be going back to that save, so let's move. So yeah, we went through the Cloister of the Trials, and now I think we have to be moving into completely new territory here. Well, no, we're in the Faith Room. The Bevel Faith, so the Faith should be gone, of course. And it is. And they look at Yuna, who would be more likely than them to know what's going on with this. But she's not. I figured if anyone knew what was going on with the chambers post the Faith being there, be here. But no, apparently there's like a big frickin' chamber underneath where the Faith was. Okay. And, oh, here's these guys. I feel like we should be allowed to play as them, and I think you actually are through Creature Creator minigame eventually, but you don't control them, they're just like stuff. It's just like Nuji said, from the look of things, there must be something incredible down here. Yep. Man, oh man, what have we gotten ourselves into this time? Great voice acting, huh? You almost have to admire them for being able to hide something this commodious. Indeed. So here's the restricted area. We can talk to Riku, too. Well, what is this place? I'm scared and dumb. Yevon's always liked hiding things, but this is really ridiculous. I would tend to agree. So, what the frick? I mean, it's a huge, huge underground complex. You were born right above this whole place, you know? Oh, who cares?
Watch the exit.
Make sure it doesn't run away.
Let's just stare at each other for a while.
But I'll make an exception this time. Leave it to us, love.
So we're not being attacked by the robots? I thought we were being attacked by robots. What's going on?
Just use that chain over there if you want to cross the center.
Okay.
Are you blind, love?
Oh, see, there's a chain. Thank you, game, for showing that to us.
Leave the easier driver. Leave the car to us.
I shouldn't have said it actually gave me a chance for it. You've no idea what's down there, yet you're about to jump off a balcony to find out. What's wrong with this picture?
Well, I could leave it to you guys if you'd like.
Anyway, folks, yeah, I don't know. I had a bit of a chatty start to this whole thing. But, hey, the amount of chatting I did explaining my off-screening and how I leveled up and what skills I increased and whatnot, pretty minor compared to how, you know, it didn't take very long for you to listen compared to how long it took for me to do, so let's not get too carried away. But yeah, we're at a much higher level. Oh, I meant to say this. So I had to off-screen my way back through the whole LeBlanc Syndicate infiltration thing, including the body massage machine, the massage minigame, the boss fights. Let me tell you guys, at level 40 with nobody in the white mage dress sphere, making sure to steal from everybody before defeating them, all of those little boss fights, including ones where I lost characters and had to bring them back multiple times, way freaking easy. Once I wasn't recording and I was using level 40 characters instead of level 20 something characters, just way more pro looking run. But anyway, when we come back, we're in the restricted area. If your area is feeling a little restricted, you know, you could always try to go up one size in your pants. We'll do that next time. I